What up, peeps? It's your girl Josh, coming back to Front Takes. Today I'll be doing a review to the movie titled Welcome to Marwen, starring Steve Carell. Now, this one I was actually excited to see because when I did the trailer earlier in the year, it just grabbed me. I enjoyed the scenes that we were getting because I knew it was also based off of a true story, and I felt like it was some story that I haven't seen that was really told as of recently, probably so. I know there's many things that probably go around dealing with certain traumas to individuals, but this one definitely, like I said, based off of true events. This happened to an individual by the name of Mark Hogancamp, and I was very intrigued. I didn't get to do so much research. I know that an actual documentary was done about this well prior to this movie coming out. I also wanted to see this because I am a fan of the director Robert Zemeckis, and he's done many movies that I love over the years. Back to the Future, Death Becomes Her, Romancing the Stone, Will I Beneath, and one of my ultimate favorites is Forrest Gump. So I knew that him coming together with Steve would be a nice little winning combination. And I will say this, I really first and foremost did enjoy this movie. It was a very tough story to cover, and it's only so much they can do to cover in the time they're giving, with how long run times are for movies. But I feel like what they gave us was just kind of enough. I actually do plan to find this documentary. I would like to watch it in more depth, whichever, and definitely get more of an understanding through Mark's actual words, for how he feels about things that happened to him, where he is in his life now, whichever. I'm not sure how old it is, but I will do extra research on that. But with this particular movie, I do like some of what I saw. Now, for this has to deal with him dealing with TBI, traumatic brain injury, due to the fact that he dealt with a vicious attack by a thug of guys at a bar. He was leaving out of the bar, and from what we're shown in the trailer, of course, is blunt force, to the head, beat up, whatever, laying on the ground. He was laying there for quite some time. They do discuss a little bit of that within the movie, about how long he was out there before someone came to his aid. Now, I love how Steve's portrayal of this, when you see it, basically you're seeing, him, of course, going about his day-to-day life. Now, you do see parts of early on in the movie where it shows, him just kind of doing his thing. He's taking pictures. Now, from what I gather, Mark was a comic illustrator, and before this accident happened, after the accident, he's lost memory loss. He can't use his hands like he used to. So in order for him to basically showcase his art or whatever, he's now doing photography, and he uses his photography to kind of tell the story. And with that, he's using dolls as well to showcase that. Now, he's using dolls of himself and dolls of the people that's closest to him, that care about him. He cares about them, and these are these particular females that we are introduced to in the movie, whichever, kind of like showing him in some ways how to deal with healing and also being heroic, all in one, and basically all in one. This is his way of dealing and coping with this coping mechanism of dealing with what he's dealt with. Now, I love how like I said, we get introduced to the different ladies that are coming to his life through the dolls. I'm going to go through the list because I wanted to write them down. The first one, of course, you're going to see will be Anna, played by Gwendolyn Christie. You all know who she is. I don't know her face. She's our girl. Of course, she's on Game of Thrones, so everybody knows her for Brienne. You see, of course, G.I. Julie, played by Janelle Monáe. One of the ones who's actually helping him to, be therapeutic. She's, helping him to walk again. This is the beginning stages of what he's dealing with. Now, for Anna's character, you see her showing him, make sure he's taking his medication, whatever. She comes once a month, checks on whichever and all that. I enjoyed their little talk, a little spunky in her, whichever. And she's, I think, want to say she's Russian, so she has a nice, accent, whichever. Then you see Carlala, played by Isa Gonzalez, just, working inside of the bar. He still works in the bar in the back, the same bar where he was, hurt. And then you see other ones like, I want to say, what's her name? Roberta, played by Merritt Wever. She's the one who owns like a local, little store, whatever, where he collects his dolls from, whichever. And then you have some other ones, like one of the other names is, I want to get it correct here, excuse me, Suzette, played by Leslie Zemeckis. And I think that's Leslie Zemeckis, which is Robert Zemeckis' wife. And then from there, You get introduced, of course, to Leslie Mann's character, played by, name is Nicole. You'll eventually see her doll. And from there, there's one particular doll I'm going to bring up in a minute, whichever. But these are the main ladies that you do get to see showcased throughout the movie, who you kind of see mostly a lot in doll form. You don't really see them. You see a bit of them at the beginning in human, of course, in their reality, human, form, whatever, going through certain moments of his life when he's dealing with, having to walk, having to just, deal with them coming together. Of course, Carlala, talking to him at work, and him explaining to him the stuff he's putting together for his art installation, which will be showcased with an upcoming exhibit, whichever. And of course, with Roberta kind of, coaching him, seeing what he's doing. And then, of course, them trying to rally around him to go and make him go to court during the sentencing of these thugs. I was about to say guys, these thugs who viciously attacked him. Now, I like how over the course of the movie, you do see how he grapples with certain instances, like, dealing with the sounds, feeling sometimes, agitated, or the anxiety or whatever gets to him, whatever, or when he's walking somewhere, going somewhere, he takes the girls in this little, kind of like little war type of machine, little Tonka Troy, whatever, and all that, with the little hook where he can roll it with himself, whatever. He feels most comfortable with the girls, these lady dolls, his ladies of Marwen, so to speak, with him at all times. He does not feel comfortable if they're not with him. It's kind of like at times his crutch. Now, to move from that, I didn't bring up one particular, you could say, doll of sorts, which is in the movie, and this is played by Diane Kruger. I want to note her as well. She is a particular character called Deja Thoris. Now, with this one, I thought was very unique at times, because I don't want to give away the overall premise as to exactly how she fits into this, but it's a very interesting part of the movie, that she portrays in a very significant part, which is kind of like his crutch, where he can't seem to move forward, and it always seems like she plays a part in why he can't seem to move forward, and he's finally coming to a realization where she, falls in line in his life, and if she's a good part of his life to be in his life, period. I'll just say that much. But I will say this, I enjoyed Diane Kruger, the voice of her playing this doll, how this doll was always in his ear, saying these negative things and making her feel like she was the only thing that was worthy to be around him, and if any other dolls were around, they don't care for him like she does, or whatever, and all that. This doll was a certain symbolism of something else. I will just say that. I really would prefer you all to see this for yourself to understand this, whichever, but that's as far as I can go. And when I say it like this, and if you do see the movie, you'll understand why I say it the way it is. She symbolizes something else that's much greater to why he's not able to finally push through to the other part of moving on and getting past these certain feelings, these certain, I would say, effects of what he's dealing with and what he's going through. That's all I would say. But yes, a very significant part, whichever. But I like how, of course, he does get a visit eventually from the attorney. And if you all see in the trailer, you see the part when he's, of course, in the court, and he wants to come face to face with them and actually, address the court and explain to them these guys can no longer hurt him, what they've done to him, whichever, and all that. He brings his trusty, doll with him, which is him. Basically, in his world, in his imagination, he's like a World War II pilot, whichever, very heroic, whatever, saving the day, whatever. The girls always got his back, and they're always showing them, of course, in the trailer, it looks rather graphic because you see them with the guns, whatever. One thing you will see also is that you see the dolls of these individuals who hurt him, and when he does more of a World War II type of theme, it shows them in what looks like to be in sort of Nazi, uniforms, whatever. And that's kind of how he uses them to interpret them as being these bad men, in regards to the war. Him being this guy, whichever, and all, the American guy, whatever, saving the day, whatever. And he's coming into this particular battlefield dealing with these mean, nasty men, whatever, and all that. And they're trying to hurt him and the ladies of Marwen. So I really liked how he really dabbled in creating that, whichever. And I like how it was a balance between you seeing, fantasy with reality, and I liked how they did that. I thought it was evenly scaled with that. Some people will say the overall storyline can seem like at times it was kind of drawn out a little bit. I say a little bit, not so much. It was just enough. Also, I did notice how, I will say this, and I don't know if somebody will kind of agree with me, but I did kind of get the feeling with him, for him to move past his traumatic experience with him, he liked to shape up the females that he was using, which are definitely these ladies in his life, kind of to be, in this desired image of them. Like, there was certain parts where you would see him, of course, dress them up, put the heels on, put them in certain these outfits, whichever. The outfits that they wear, some of them very close, to what, some of the ladies did wear, in real life, whichever. Now, for Leslie Mann's character, she comes into town, she moves into the house across the street. He has a new friend. He's kind of, shy or whatever, but eventually opens up, whatever, and it kind of brings him and brings in this new doll, which is her character, which is called Nicole without the E. And it was just interesting how he started to open up a little bit more. She wanted him to help him with some furniture when she moves in. She's dealing with a very kind of like a stalkerish ex, whatever, and all that, who gave a little bit of a character development, all that, trying to make it feel bad, whichever, when he came over to visit thing and they're trying to be together, and he saw that he had all this stuff, with SWAT stickers, with, his stuff with Welcome to Marwen, the little art illustration. He starts talking to him in Russian, and it kind of causes a traumatic experience where he runs away, whatever. So it was like, every time he tries to feel like he feels comfortable, certain things will start happening again. So from there, I just feel like, he has to find a way to move past it. And like I said, there's certain things that do happen where he finally gives up enough courage to face those demons, which are those gentlemen, face to face. They knew they were going to away because they didn't want him to get off. And a lot of the ladies, mostly Roberta, played by Merritt Weber, had a little talk with them. Don't let them get away, they'll get off easy or whatever. They won't do the highest sentence known that the judge could give them, whichever. They should pay for what they've done. They've taken your life, because of course, before all the ladies came into his life, really, he was married. Of course, his wife is now gone. It's just him. He's living in this house by himself. He doesn't feel like he can be loved. When he knows he's a good guy, he can be loved. And then you see other little instances where, a certain female, I won't say which female, tries to, throw an olive branch, like maybe we should go we can get a bite, maybe we can do something, we can get some sushi. Because every time she offered a different type of food, or, a roast or chicken or this, he had every excuse known to man. And since sushi comes up, then all of a sudden he's like, I haven't had sushi. Well, I haven't had sushi either. Well, we can try sushi together, and just little solid little things that were happening. But I love how towards the end of the movie he slowly kind of rises, that strength comes into it, and then that one thing that I said that was keeping him stagnant and keeping him from pushing through to pass this and this fear and move on, so he can feel like he can finally heal, grow, and finally go out there and just be himself as much as himself, whatever, and then eventually bring someone to his life, not feel lonely again, whichever. And then it finally, slow things started changing, whichever, and he's finally able to push through, whatever. I really, really enjoyed this movie. There are a couple of scenes I did get a little teary-eyed, with, of course, when they show the brutal part of the brutal attack. It was so hard to watch. And then scenes, of course, there was one scene that was so hard to watch, and it's a scene between him and Nicole, played by Leslie Mann, where he kind of lets it be known his feelings about her. And they're in her home, and let's just say that part seemed like it dragged a little bit. I will say that part. It seemed like for like over more than a minute, 2 minutes, she's just sitting there, and she doesn't know what to say because she feels like she might have given him the wrong idea about her feelings for him. She just wants to be friends, and he's just standing, and she goes to get him something like a gift. And she's like, she leaves, and he's standing there, just standing on the ground, like leaning to give her this lovely gift, and she wouldn't take it at first. She's kind of feeling just uncomfortable, whatever. Oh gosh, it was so sad. You can hear the people. It was just, oh my goodness. But other than that, I love, like I said, the pacing was good. I enjoyed it for what it is. I know some people haven't been giving it good reviews, and I don't think it did as well at the box office. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to be number one or anything like that with all the other things that came out. But I think for a movie, I enjoyed it for what it was, because it doesn't really dabble too much into dealing with TBI. I know some people had heard throughout PTSD, but when I look at the movie, this is dealing with, a brain injury from, the hit, blood flows over his head, the hit in his head from being on the ground, them kicking and whatever. But yeah, I would think this is more so on the TBI. So I'm going to definitely, like I said, watch the documentary. I'm very intrigued to see this. Now, I will say this, and this is not really giving away. At the end, you do see the real picture of the real Mark Hogancamp. Shows him holding his own doll that he made of his own liking. whichever. And I did come across what looks like to be, when they did the documentary, like a front cover sheet of that. I'm going to note that somewhere up in here, and I really am going to make sure I take the time to go watch it. Like I said, I enjoy this. If you don't get a chance to see it at the theater, because I know it's so much to choose from out there, I know people love options. If you do get a chance to catch it, please watch it. I would love to know what some of you all think of this movie. I really do plan to get this. I just feel like this is one of those ones I would love to add to my collection, you know, even though it's such a hard story to really tell, and there's only so much you can tell, like I said, within a certain time frame, whichever, and then trying to stretch out this person dealing with this particular injury. They can never truly get over it, but they find ways to kind of move on with their lives, you know, with the guidance, with help, you know, whatever therapeutic ways they can possibly get, you know, from people around them, you know, to help guide them and help them, whichever. And I just really liked what Robert Zemeckis did with this, for what he was given to showcase with this particular movie. I don't know if Mark Hogancamp actually went to see this. I didn't hear anything about that in regards to this, but I'm hoping he did, and I'm hoping he is happy with what they did with this particular movie. So, but yes, you guys. Now, for my rating with this one, I would give it about an 8 out of a 10. Like I said, for me personally, I really enjoyed it. And like I said, the visuals, the fantasy, like whichever, I love that aspect of it. I love all the different ladies that showcase, you know, in their scenes, whatever, especially when they were in, of course, seen as in dolls, whichever. I love that part. And that was good. But like I said, the scenes still, when it came to the dolls, mostly were, of course, Gwendolyn Christie's Anna. I did like G.I. Julie, played by Janelle Monáe, but I will say this, I enjoyed how they did capture Diane Kruger doing Deja Thoris, and it was just done, you know, with the green hair, the long green satin gloves. Just, you'll understand what I mean if you all go to see it. So, but yes, I will just put that out there. So that is my review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, if you do get a chance to watch it, comment below, because I would love to know your thoughts on that. And with that said, I will see you guys on the next review. You guys take care.